is our state of mind. Everything that is decided outside, you can argue it out, but ultimately is a factor of the mind, goodness or badness. I say 30 degrees outside will be extremely cold for us. Talk to somebody who lives in Alaska or frozen Arctic. 30 degrees is like spring. It's all relative, right? If a water is 80 degrees, and if you have put your hand in a 30 degree water and you put it in 80 degrees, it's hot. But somebody whose hand was in 100 degrees, now 80 degrees cool. So cool or hot is a state of mind. Has nothing to do with outside reality. So goodness and badness and all that, these are definitions that we create. And there was a famous saying that Hitler wrote in his autobiography. He says that there is not much difference between truth and a lie. If a lie can be told many times, it becomes a truth. So it's all bombardment that can be given to you. We get brainwashed. Otherwise, how can your next door neighbor who was your neighbor for all these years, right? And he disappears just because he was a Jew in a German empire, and you don't even question? Because you constant bombardment that Jews are bad, Jews are bad, Jews are bad, they should be killed, and then all of a sudden your action seems justifiable. Whatever you do against Jews is fine. Just because you have 10 other people or 10,000 people or 10 million people agreeing with you. So that's why it's so important to stay close to your nature. Your nature is your final answer as far as what is good or bad. Anything that takes you closer to the Paramatma or your inside nature is good. Whatever takes you away is bad. No matter how many times people come and tell you, just because this guy doesn't look good or this guy is from such and such nationality, such and such religion, it's justifiable to hate them. It's just not acceptable because it's your suggestions are coming from outside. If you really go inside, you would not have any hatred. It's all, I was just this morning, I was jogging. The first thing I came out, I saw a beautiful cloud which was lit up, right? And there was another cloud which was dark, right next to each other, just because the angle of the sun was making one cloud brighter, really bright, and the another cloud was dark. So I realized that whatever the cloud had to give out the beauty was because of the external factors. Inside, both clouds are the same. But if we have to choose, we'll choose the cloud which is beautiful. We'll drop the cloud which is not beautiful. All those external characteristics makes us make these choices. But if you really think beyond all these things, who gave these external characteristics? 5 minutes later, if I come, that cloud will be looking like nothing, and this cloud will be shining. So, rich and the poor, there is no difference. Richness comes from outside. All this praise on the people comes from outside. Inside, they're all the same. That's why the Vivek Chudamani we talk about is a king without a kingdom and a soldier without a shield is not a king and not a soldier. You remove the shield from the soldier and you remove the kingdom from the king and you put them stripped right next to each other. You can't tell the difference. So we are mesmerized by the material manifestations. Inside what it is, we never consider. But for us to consider that you also have the same consciousness, I have to peep into my own consciousness first. If I don't even know what is inside me, how can you tell that somebody else is doing the same thing? So your manifestations that you see is all that manifestation of the same consciousness. Once we realize, then the difference between you and me starts disappearing. Then all that Advait, the theory of Advait and the vision of Advait starts coming out alive. Then you don't see difference between one cloud over the other, a rich person and a poor person, shabby looking guy and a nicely dressed guy. Then you start seeing everything as a manifestation of Paramatma, right? But for that, realization has to happen. So, manifestation of Paramatma is only there, is always there. Our mistake of chasing and choosing is what is the cause of our suffering. Paramatma never said choose or chase. We are making, only humans have that characteristic of chasing and choosing. Animals don't. They don't have a chasing and choosing. They don't run after. They are happy with whatever they're. So, that's the reason is because our mind is very unstable. It has to go after the objects of pleasure, run away from the objects of pleasure. So this chanchalta, the liquidity of the mind, is the cause of our suffering. So now we have two choices. Either you solidify, you fix yourself into one choice. I am fixed myself into whatever my surrounding friends' habits are, that they eat, drink, be merry, happy life. As long as they keep on accepting me, I'm happy with that, and I'm locked in. As to the point that if I see somebody who else is not following the same lifestyle, I would say, the guy is stupid. He doesn't know what is missing, this and that and all that. I can make all these things because as long as I have a backup of all my friends to make that kind of statement, right? So now my mind is becoming an ice, like a liquidity of water. From liquid, I'm becoming frozen, and I'm getting satisfaction, and I'm getting security in being in a frozen state, because then I don't have to make any choices. My choice is locked in. This is my lifestyle. This is what I am, and that's it. And people are happy with that, but that's not a progress. The inside energy somehow keeps on telling you that there's something not right. If that awareness starts coming up and you realize that whatever you have fixed yourself in is not the end by itself, there has to be something more to life than that. So the only other way you lose that liquidity. So liquidity is a problem because mind is so unstable, and that instability makes you literally run. Mind tells you that I want Haagen-Dazs, I want this, I want that, and literally you are dragged with it. You find yourself helpless, and that's not a good situation either. And I agree. So there is one way, like I said, you lock yourself, become an ice. But the other option is there. You become a steam. You turn into water vapor, and you expand. Fill up the whole room or fill up the whole universe. Now, there is no way you can move, because there is no way to move. You are infinite. Only finite objects can move. Mobility is only possible in comparison with to immobile. Paramatma is everywhere. It's really, if you are so much used to running, you will feel sorry for Paramatma. Paramatma has no way to go. Wherever he goes, he's there. So he has no journey to make. He has no trips to take. He cannot take vacations. There is no change. It's kind of boring to be Paramatma if you are so much locked into this liquidity of the mind. If you just enjoy these running rides all the time, except when the suffering starts, that's when you realize that all the running was useless. So, one, you have a comfort in becoming an ice, or you have another comfort when you become infinite. And for that, you don't have to become. You are. You are infinite. The only thing is that realization has to happen. That realization can happen only through meditation. And not meditation, I always say, meditative attitude. Meditation is useless if you do it for 30 minutes and put it away. That has literally no value. It may be a stepping stone of maybe first step, but that's about it. Maybe in the right direction. But again, people have been doing for meditation for 35 years. I have a patient. She does meditation for, says, oh, we have a nice group, or it's so beautiful, this and that. But she still eats chicken and fish and this and that and all that, and she still gets involved with her family members, and you never see her peaceful. Because for her, the idea of meditation is a 30 minutes job. That's it. As long as I did that, I did my duties, and that's the end of that. But that's wrong. Meditative attitude that takes you around 24/7. So awareness is the flashlight that will come in handy. But that awareness, you have to realize inside. You have to be aware of your own awareness. That's the ultimate focus of your meditation that you will be doing. But granted, you will need 15-20 minutes in your seclusion where you can, just communicate with yourself. But that little by little, with little practice, that awareness starts rising. And then when that awareness starts rising, that you can use it as a tool to analyze every single action that you're performing in the outside world. So with that awareness, we start analyzing our actions. We will realize that a lot of actions that we do are because of the thoughts that we have borrowed from other people. Are these our own thoughts, or are these the thoughts which are donated graciously from other people, or we have borrowed to look good in the society? A Hindu mob can easily burn a mosque, but a single Hindu will have a tough time because his consciousness will bite him. A mob of Muslim can attack a Hindu people easily, but a single Muslim will have a tough time. So mob mentality is the demise of the spirituality. In the mob has their own mind. You become part of the mob's mind. So individuality has to start rising. There is no continuation from, like they say that Oliver brothers or the Wright brothers made the plane. But how could they make the plane if nobody had invented the wheel? So in the science, there is a hierarchy. Or whatever is the old knowledge, you build up upon it. And then from that old knowledge, you add new knowledge. And then you need knowledge. If Newton did not exist, Einstein would not have existed either. Because he already had finished, he already had learned whatever had to be learned. Now he had to go on from there. In one lifetime, it would not be possible to go from scratch or 1,000 years of scientific history to, So there is an addition, and that's based on the science. But in dharma, in spirituality, everything has to start from scratch. You have to do your own work. There is no way you can build up on some. So there is no point in borrowing thoughts from anything. You don't need scriptures. You don't have to listen to anybody. You do your own thinking. You do your own journey. And that's where you find your own solutions and your own goal that you want to reach. Because if you keep on believing to other people, you will go to a lot of unknown places that you would never have wanted it to be. There was a story in India, we always had that father and son buys a donkey and then they are carrying. So, right, so they are walking and one guy comments that, are you guys stupid or what? There is a donkey, you have a chance to ride and you are not even riding. What's the matter with you? So he says, okay. So the son sits on the donkey and they start going. The next village comes in. What kind of son are you? You letting your old father walk? And you are sitting on the donkey? Oh no, we should reverse. So the father sits on the donkey and the son walks. Third big thing, what kind of father are you? You letting your son walk? Are you crazy? So all these things go on and they say, well, we're back to where we are. Let the donkey walk. Are you crazy? You making the donkey tired. Then by the time the donkey, so they're carrying the donkey now. So a suggestion from outside, you don't have to listen to them. Unless you can justify one thing. Any action that, even if a suggestions come from outside, is that going to take you more closer to the consciousness or not? Then, if you, in that examination, if it passes, then you do it. Otherwise, don't do it. You believe in yourself. That's what it is. So, happiness comes when you are in your original state. Anytime you deviate from it, unhappiness ensues. So, like we said, abhinivesh is your liking for the life. And in the liking for the life, as totality, you choose rag and dvesh, liking and dislike. And liking and dislike is caused by the asmita, your ego-ness, your self-awareness. And that's where the mistake is. When the mistake is when we don't realize what we are, that's where all these actions happen. So the journey of spirituality is to take you to a point where you dissolve yourself. You become one infinite consciousness where even you don't exist. Like a droplet of the water, when it merges with the ocean, in the beginning it thinks that I'm merging with the ocean, I'm merging with the ocean. But then reality is the ocean is merging into the droplet. And the droplet disappears. Once it goes into the ocean, where is the droplet? So when the ego dissolves completely, you reach the state of nirvana. So ego is really a fake state that we have created. Our imaginations, our fear, our anxieties creates a state of so-called ego. Ego is a total illusion. It's like that holographic image. We see you go to Disney World, we see the guy jumping from here to here and all that. All this is created by the multiple projections of the electrodes to create an image. And that's what it is. Ego is total fake. is totally exists. We know it exists because it exists in everybody's mind, and yet it does not exist. It's totally our creation. So ego is playing, what I always say, is like a mini God. It generates the action, operates the action, destroys the action, goes to the next action. So it's like literally playing like a mini God. Generator, operator, destroyer, right? But it's all fake. So the reality is something else. Your name, your appearance, all that will be defined by your car, your wife, your children. But all that is a description present in that big cloud of dream like existence that we all are living in. Once you come out of that, you are not there. You go within yourself. Where is your name? Where is your shape? Where is your size? Where is your... Everything disappears because all thoughts disappear. You become that infinite consciousness. At that level, where is the name? Where is the possession? Who you are? Nothing. There is no difference between you and anybody else you may be hating, but they all have the same consciousness. So we have to realize the senses are the cause of suffering. So if we have the meditative attitude, the senses become less important. Not that they disappear. Senses will be always there. It's a mechanical process. You touch the water, would feel cold. It's not a magic. It's what it is. There is an interactions of molecules. The things will happen. But that is happening. You put the seed in the ground, and the plant comes out. It is happening by the interactions of the molecules. You just provided the conditions. But ultimately, whatever is happening is a happening. So whatever sensations you will be feeling outside will still exist. Once you reach to a nirvana state or bliss state, doesn't mean all your experiences will disappear, but your attitude towards the experiences will diminish. So Vivek Chudamani says that senses are supported by the body. Senses are not everything, even though for most of us, for all of us, it is. Senses are everything because that's our only contact with the world where we can enjoy the world. So, but the senses are supported by the body. If body did not exist, senses would not exist, right? But the body is supported by thoughts. You believe that the body exists. Your belief in the body. So the senses are supported by the body. Body is supported by the thoughts. Thoughts are supported by intellect. Your ideas, your imaginations, all these things ultimately creates the thoughts. So senses are supported by the body, body by the thoughts, thoughts by the intellect, and the intellect by the ego. Everybody's intellect is different. Yours is different, mine is different. So ultimately ego supports the intellect. And ego is fake. So everything, the whole cascade of all the thing is total fake. And look what we're doing. Right from the birth till the death, we waste our time in all this illusory thing which does not take us anywhere. This is like a mirage in the desert. We think there is a water there. We keep running and running and running. It does not take us anywhere. Once we realize that this is all fake, we don't have to do anything else. We are where we're supposed to be. If you realize, not too long ago, just about 100 years ago, we did not keep birth records. You go to India or even here, like go back 100 years, there was no birth records, no death records, nothing. People just existed. Now, nobody could tell how old they were, right? If you really go back 100, 120 years or something like that, if somebody asked somebody, people wouldn't be even talking because the birth records were not kept, death records, so you just have to guess. But now, with all the numbers that we know, look what has happened. A 29-year-old girl meets a 17, he's depressed, or she's depressed because he's not as young as 17. But 29 meets a 49, now the 49 feels depressed just because he meets the 29, he seems to be enjoying. People are always unhappy about what they don't have. These numbers, has that made our life better or worse? Right? Now so many people are locked in how old are you? How old are you? This and that and all that. The real pleasure of life is not knowing the numbers. The real pleasure comes in for existence, what you are, what you're feeling. That's why I talked about one guy when I ran the New York Marathon. The guy had shaven head and I asked him, what's your time? Because in marathon, everybody, that was the fashion. Whenever it says, oh, what's your time? What's your time? How much time does it take you to finish this and that? I asked the guy. He gave me a beautiful answer. He says, listen, mister, 6 months ago, the doctor diagnosed me with a brain tumor. And they told me I have 3 months to live. This is 6 months now. and I'm enjoying every single moment. I don't care what my time is. Your may be better than mine. He didn't mean to say that, but I don't care. I care is my enjoyment, what I have here. And that's what we should live all our life. The numbers don't mean anything. Appearances don't mean anything. Main thing is the enjoy life.